model we all are looking into. Available 5 model, India is choosing dual concurrent GST model. Am I clear about it? Perfect. So we have decided now dual concurrent GST model. Now how this model going to change our life for intra-state, interstate, import and export? We'll listen to it. So let's start with the intra-state supply of goods and services. There are 2 major products in GDP, goods and services, which are going to be taxable either the intrastate or as interstate. Let's do intrastate first. For intrastate, what are the existing indirect taxes? For goods taxability, 100 rupees is the base price of the product. Central excise levy 12.5%, right? Then VAT levied on an average 14.5%. Why I'm saying on an average? Because every state has got their different rates. So I'm applying on an average 14.5%, then approximately 27% indirect tax levied on goods taxability. Second drawback, VAT calculated inclusive of central excise duty. So what happened post GST? So post GST, the provision says on 100 rupees, 2 taxes are going to be levied. CGST is a central levy, SGST is a state levy on 100 rupees. What would be the rate? GST rate, $1 million question, right? So you may be asking what is the rate going to be. Just to recall you, R&R committee led by Chief Economic Advisor Dr. Arvind Subramanian. He submitted the report in December 2015. He suggested R&R age 15% to 15.5%. And he suggested there would be 4 slab of GST. 2 to 6%, 12%, 18% and 40% demerit goods, which is applicable for luxury cars, aerated beverages, tobacco and pan masala. So you may start evaluating yourself, visualizing yourself. Today, if your product is chargeable to 12.5% central excise duty and on an average 14.5% VAT levied, what would be GST rate? And this rate is going to be decided by GST Council. And what is this council all about? This council having chairmanship of Honorable Finance Minister, Minister of State, is a member of this GST Council, and all state finance ministers are the member of this GST Council. This council have 1/3 weightage from central government, 2/3 weightage from state government, and council is going to decide any subject matter by 3/4 majority, and that too by way of recommendation. That too by way of recommendation. So rate is not yet confirmed what will be the rate, but for your understanding sake, if at all we want to understand intra-state and interstate, let's take an example. GST rate is 20%. GST rate is 20%. Now it needs to be divided between CGST and SGST. 12.5% central excise levy, maybe 9% CGST, 14.5% VAT levy, maybe 11% SGST. Nothing sure as on date till the time GST Council decide. But for our understanding sake, let's assume 10%, 10%. So on 100 rupees, I'm in Gurgaon, you're in Gurgaon. I'm supplying, I'm going to charge 10% CGST, 10% SGST. And you're purchasing, you will take CGST and CGST credit account, SGST and SGST credit account. Am I clear about it? Am I clear about it? Advantage. SGST is not calculated inclusive of CGST, the first advantage. Today VAT calculated inclusive of central excise duty, this will go away. To that extent we are benefiting. Our price for goods will come down. And for the rate, if 20% decided and presently chargeable to 27%, there is a leverage of 7%. So to that extent, again pricing will come down. To that extent, pricing will come down. So we have to see how business model is changing for all of us together post GST. So let's carry on with the same example so that you can understand. Now you're selling the same product at 150 rupees. in Gurgaon. 150 rupees. Again, you are going to apply 10% CGST, 10% SGST. So your output liability would be 15 rupees CGST, 15 rupees SGST. And you got credit of 10 rupees CGST and 10 rupees SGST. So there will be some mantra, some golden principle, which we need to keep it in our mind as a theory. What are those mantra? Mantra number 1. CGST credit can be used for CGST liability. SGST credit can be used for SGST liability, but not vice versa. Am I clear about it? So what happened in this case? You will use CGST credit for payment of CGST liability. You will deposit only 5 rupees in cash in CGST account. Similarly, you will use SGST credit for payment of SGST liability. So you will deposit only 5 rupees in cash in SGST account. Hope I'm clear about it. Perfect. So in this case, intrastate supply of goods or services, this is going to be taxable in a manner just now I have explained to all of you. I hope I'm clear about it. Any doubt pertaining to this transaction? Any doubt? Any doubt? Nothing? So got registered? Let's move interstate from one state to another state. Let me go back to Delhi and you remain in Gurgaon. So today, for goods taxability, interstate, I'm charging central excise duty, right? And I'm charging CST at the rate of 2% against Form C. If Form C is not given, then the local VAT, Delhi VAT rate as applicable. Clear about it? Now, next question comes, can you take credit of central excise and CST if you're a VAT dealer? Answer is no. 14.5% is a cost. You can take credit of central excise only when you are manufacturer, first stage dealer or second stage dealer. Otherwise, 14.5% is a complete cost in your hand. State barrier. State barrier. We can't do business from one state to another state. And that is the reason I'm saying we are having 29 countries within the Union Territory of India. And we have to have warehouse to raise taxable invoice in each of the state. So we can't do free movement. Seamless flow of movement of goods is not there. What will happen post GST? Important and interesting one. Now they are coming out with a model of IGST. It's a very interesting model. Just listen, you will find this model will make India as a unified India. Will create open market, national market, unified market, common market for all of us together across India. And that's realistically one nation, one tax. How it is going to play? Just listen to it. On 100 rupees, I'm going to apply IGST, Integrated Goods and Services Tax. It is nothing but a sum total of CGST plus SGST. So rate applicable would be 20%. Am I clear about it? So from Delhi, when I'm supplying goods on 100 rupees, I will apply 20% IGST. It has come to you in Gurgaon. What you will do, you will take credit of IGST in IGST account. You will take credit of IGST in IGST account. Now, you are going to sell the same product in Gurgaon at 150 rupees. At 150 rupees. Then what would be your output liability? What would be your output liability? If you have correctly understood it. For you it is intra-state, am I right? Am I right? Your liability would be CGST and SGST, 10%, 10%, so 150, 10%, 15 rupees CGST, 15 rupees SGST. But you got credit of 20 rupees in IGST account. Mantra number 2. And what did this mantra says? This says IGST credit should be used sequentially for payment of IGST, CGST and SGST. Hope I'm clear about it. So IGST credit should be used first for IGST. second for CGST, third for SGST. So if at all I want to solve my problem, I got 20 rupees IGST credit, but I got output liability of 15 rupees CGST, 15 rupees SGST. So first you are going to utilize what? CGST. 20 minus 15, 5 rupees left. Now this 5 rupees is going to be utilized for SGST liability. 15 minus 5. Only 10 rupees you are going to deposit in SGST account. Now here I would like to draw your attention. We all are saying GST is destination based consumption tax. Am I right? Means GST portion will go to a state where it is being consumed and destined. Am I right? Am I clear about it? So in this given situation, you have deposited only 10 rupees in the Haryana account. But you are using center credit IGST for payment of SGST liability to the extent of 5 rupees. In this case, center will transfer 5 rupees to the Haryana government. So ultimately, Haryana got 15 rupees, which they are supposed to get on premise of GST is a destination based consumption tax. Am I clear about it? Let's change the example and do another analysis. I'm changing the example. Example is you got credit of CGST 10 rupees, SGST 10 rupees, right? CGST 10 rupees, SGST 10 rupees. But you're selling interstate now. Gurgaon to Delhi. Tell me on 150 rupees, you are going to apply which tax? Please tell me if you have correctly understood it. For interstate, you are going to apply IGST. So 150 rupees, 20%, 30 rupees is the IGST liability. But you got credit of CGST and SGST. Now next mantra you have to keep it in your mind. And you'll be recalling mantra number 1. And what was the mantra number 1? CGST credits should be used for CGST liability. SGST credits should be used for SGST liability. Only correction. CGST credits should be used sequentially. First for CGST, then IGST. Similarly, SGST credits should be used sequentially. First for SGST, then IGST. Let's solve the problem. And how it can be solved? We got credit of 10 rupees CGST, 10 rupees SGST. But you got output liability of 30 rupees IGST. So 30 minus 10 CGST, 20 rupees left. Now 20 minus 10 SGST, only 10 rupees you will deposit in cash. But in this case, you are using Haryana SGST for payment of central liability. Haryana government will transfer 10 rupees to the central government. So central government is getting, now here in this case, Haryana gets nothing. Haryana gets nothing because goods are moving from Haryana to Delhi. So if at all SGST component will accrue, then it will accrue to Delhi if it is being consumed in Delhi. If it is not consumed in Delhi, again it is interstate transfer, again it will go back to a state where it got transferred. So GST is a destination based consumption tax. I hope I am clear about it. Am I clear? Shall I explain anything? Perfect. Now what is the advantage in interstate model? First advantage, we are getting credit which we are not getting today. Am I right? Second advantage, CST calculated inclusive of central excise duty. But that kind of system will not be there. IGST applicable at the rate which is sum total of CGST plus SGST, of which credit is available. And this credit can be sequentially used for payment of IGST, CGST and SGST. So now the state barrier is going away. Now I can do free trade across India. It looks like we are in free trade agreement between 29 states across India. I can sell from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. Kerala to Delhi, IGST credit would be available. But today I can't do that. 14.5% is a cost. And that too, I have to open a warehouse to raise taxable invoice. Do we require to have such kind of things post GST? All will go away. we need not require to have 29 warehouses in 29 states. I will only maintain warehouses at regional hub wherever required, where my customer needs. Because I can make interstate billing and credit it available. So what is opening up? Now this state barrier is going away. We are creating a national market, unified market, common market. You can buy from Kerala to Delhi or Delhi to Kerala. What you will look into maximum, your transportation cost and time lag for transporting the goods. If price is cheaper, you will definitely buy from Kerala. You will not buy from Delhi. You are getting today at 100 rupees, but if I am selling at 80 rupees from Kerala, you will prefer to buy from Bimaljan, provided your transportation cost after factoring, still the pricing is lower, and you have lesser time lag. You may have 20 days time in your hand to get the delivery. Then you will prefer to buy interstate from any location across India. You will not be preferring to buy to someone from Delhi at a higher price. This is creating national market. So your business model will change. So all retail chain players, they started thinking, you will not be maintaining 29 warehouses. Advantage, your inventory cost comes down. Your manpower cost comes down. Your infrastructure cost comes down. Biggest advantage. So this IGST model is allowing cross credit on interstate supply of goods and services. Advantage to all of us together. So I've done intra and inter for goods taxability. Now let's do the service component. We got service sector also. They may be thinking what would be GST implication on them on intrastate and interstate. What is the service tax rate today? 15%, which includes 0.5% Swachh Bharat cess, 0.5% Kisi Kalyan cess. First of all, you have to keep it in your mind, taxability would be same as explained just while ago. For intrastate, what is applicable? CGST and SGST. For interstate, what is applicable? IGST. Same way. But next question comes, what would be GST rate for service taxability? Is it going to be 20% at par with goods? Please tell me, what is your takeaway? Please tell me, whatever coming to your mind. Is it going to be same standard rate? Same as goods? Yes. Same as goods? Rightly so. Any different answer? I can explain. 66% of GDP comes from service sector. You must have heard of our Honorable Prime Minister and Finance Minister is talking about GST comes in, it will have 2% incremental GDP growth. Am I right? Where from GDP growth will come, by the way? GDP growth comes when pricing comes down. If pricing comes down, demand goes up. If demand goes up, supply goes up. If supply goes up, GDP goes up. Am I right? Am I right? For goods taxability, of course, advantage. As against 27%, 20% levy, right? So your pricing will come down for goods. If pricing for goods comes down, demand will go up. Demand goes up, supply goes up. If supply goes up, of course GDP goes up. But service taxability, if you apply 20% standard rate at par with goods, and that too 66% of GDP comes from service sector, imagine a situation what will happen post GST. Service price inflation will go up, shoot up. If price goes up, demands comes down, GDP comes down, and the service price inflation going to hit Aam Aadmi, common man. Just think twice. To my considered view, looks like they may have different standard rate for goods taxability and service taxability. They cannot apply 22% GST rate, which is applicable for goods taxability, to be applied at par on services. If they apply 22%, believe me, the prices, not only for services, but for goods, because directly or indirectly you are procuring input services. On that hitting will come and price will go up. So to my considered view, there may be two different standard rate for goods taxability and service taxability. I hope I'm clear about it. Perfect. Any doubt on intrastate and interstate?
In that case, the multiplicity will start once again.
Okay. How come multiplicity? You see GST and SGST. Multiplicity of taxes, how we are discussing, we are having different taxes, but different rate exists even today. For excise, we got rate of 2%, 6%, 12.5%, 18%, 24%, 30%. For VAT, we got 1%, 4%, 12.5%. Even for services, you got standard rate of 15%, but under abatement, different rate. So there is section 7, which is chargeable section under model GST law. And this chargeable section says, there shall be levied a tax at the rate specified in a schedule for intrastate and interstate. Meaning thereby, they are going to give a schedule wherein they are going to specify the rate. Let's imagine a situation jewelry. Jewelry today 1% central excise, 1% VAT. Are you going to apply 20% on jewelry? Agro-based product, jute, textile, so they will have different rate, different GST rate. That is what the slab all about, 2 to 6%, 12%, standard rate of 18%. So they may have 3-4 slab, and according to slab, they are going to apply the rate. But we are discussing standard rate for goods taxability and service taxability. I question to myself, can we apply standard rate of goods for service taxability? Answer is no. If you apply 20-22%, I have done my analysis, and you will agree with me, the prices for services will go up, and that is going to hit not only service prices, even for the goods prices, because indirectly you take number of input services for manufacturing or trading of goods. So these are all subjective. Just wait and watch. For academic purpose, I have explained everything. But what will be GST rate? It is going to be decided by GST Council. Hope I am clear about it. Perfect. So I have done this intrastate, interstate.